Women are just like predators. They're good at sensing fear and weaknesses. That's their
Absolutely.
power and that's their strength. A wise woman can be of great benefit to a man because she can point out these weaknesses to him and say, hey, work on that. I got your back on that one. I see it. Like Coley is great at that. She watches me, she sees what I do, and I try to be a leader in all aspects of my life, starting with myself. But she sees what I'm missing and she tries to plug it in. And I love that about her.
Yeah.
But any woman out there, you take a woman with those skills who's vicious and jealous and manipulative, that's a monster.
Yeah.
That's a predator just looking to attack you.
Right.
And a lot of these dudes who were raised by single mothers or queens or I don't need a man or men are shit, they're not prepared for that.
Nope.
They have no idea
Right.
that they're being manipulated. So, my question to you is, how can these men out there spot these red flags and prepare themselves for this mental warfare? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure. And today we have the pleasure of talking to a good friend of mine, Chris Barth, aka the Savage Elder. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
brother. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here. Honor,
Appreciate you.
actually.
Appreciate you. No, the honor is mine, man. The gentleman right here that we're about to talk to is truly Savage Elder. I look up to him in many ways. He has great wisdom to share with you guys, which he will in a moment. And by the way, for all you listeners and viewers, I want you guys to click like, share, and subscribe to my channel and be a part of this journey. And let's dive right into it.
Let's go.
Thank you, brother, for being here again.
hmm
What I wanted to kind of dive into is the powerful story that you shared with me one time. But before we get in there, maybe I'll give you a couple of minutes to introduce yourself. Because, you know, for the viewers, sometimes I know who you are.
Sure.
And I got much love and respect for you. But maybe for the viewers,
Thank
they kind of get an idea who you are and why you are a Savage Elder.
Yeah, so I am 55.
Are you?
Yeah. Just turned 55 last week.
No, I'm just kidding. I know, but you
I know
don't
you
look
do.
like it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're a stud.
I
to
don't
me.
act like it either.
Oh, hey, there's nothing wrong with being a child at heart, man.
Not at all. Not at all. And so I grew up in Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
then moved to Arizona
Mm-hmm.
and for 20 years. And then I went back and forth to Wisconsin and back to Arizona. And then I went through the project,
The MDK project.
the MDK project with Bedros Keuilian, and I was class 006. So it was 3 years ago next month and changed everything. And so now I'm living here in Southern California working for Bedros, and I did a super fast forward on that, but that's how I became here. And, you know, part of the Midwestern work ethic really helped me out to keep grinding and going for what I want to become in life
Mm-hmm.
and where I want to go, and not just laying around and waiting for things to come to you. I go after them. And moved out to Arizona with my friends to get a different life. I mean, it's Wisconsin. It's cold. Who wants to be there?
Yeah.
And so I moved to Arizona and had a blast, met a lot of people, did a lot of cool things. And then mom got sick, wanted to head home and spend time with her. Ended up getting married, and mom passed away. And the the marriage was a sham from the beginning. I joke I was married for 1,440 days.
You counted those days, brother.
And I was in divorce proceedings for 581 of those. So that's why I counted out.
Wow.
It was dumb. But it was a great learning lesson. And obviously there's a lot of things I did wrong. She did wrong, but it wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
And learned a lot of lessons. And then that's when I decided, hey, I need to reframe who the hell I am to become the Savage Elder.
How old were you when you had to reframe who you are?
So I went to the project 3 years ago, so
Mhm.
I was 52.
Okay.
And but I had, growing up, I was bullied a lot by my father. He never wanted me, told me that on a lot of occasions. He was an alcoholic. He went to rehab literally 14 times. 14 times this guy went to rehab. I'm like, when are you going to get it? Clearly not. And he would always tell me I would never amount to anything. He said I shouldn't have been born. He then would blame me for his divorce, and we were having dinner one night, and he's like, it's because of you my kids won't talk to me. And I looked at him, I'm like, I'm your kid. So, yeah, I don't talk to you because you're an idiot, and you're everything I don't want to be in my life. So, going through that bullying, and then as a kid, I was bullied because I was a little guy with a smart mouth, and that's how I got through things. But I got bullied, so I started working out at 12 and continued to do that throughout. And then the interesting part was, I always knew that I would become something. I didn't know what, but I always knew that I would grow and get better. No matter what the old man told me, I had an amazing mother who I loved dearly and really did a great job with me. I have a brother who's 12 years younger than me, and I was fortunate enough to be able to help raise him with my mom because the old man was too busy drinking.
Yeah.
So it worked out well that way. But I always knew there was something else coming and kept pushing, came to Arizona, started to feel like I was becoming into my own, but I fell into the traps everybody does. Like, I was puffed chest. I was peacocking around like I was the shit and thought that I knew everything, and I didn't. But I was in that age group, right? So I moved out when I was in my late 20s. I was there till I was in my 40s in Arizona having a blast, and then would go back and forth. And it really took the time that the story that you want to get into that's really helped me frame who I am today. And it's a story of redemption. It's a story of you never give up no matter how much shit comes at you.
Yeah.
Right? And it started, I had moved to Arizona, and it was 2001.
Okay.
I hadn't seen my father in 8 years or talked to him in 5. And my brother calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, the old man's dead. Shot himself." And I went, "What do you need? Do you need me to come home?" He's like, "Yeah." Because he still had a little bit of a relationship with him. I didn't. And when they split up, when I was 19 and my brother was 7, I promised my mom that I wouldn't taint my brother's vision of him. Like, he can have his own relationship, but I will have no relationship. And that was one of the things I was really proud of. So I never, and he would ask me, like, "Why don't you want to go do this?" Because I don't want to be around him. You do you. But if anything ever happens, I got your back. And he was like, "Okay, I don't know what that means, but okay." And he was 7, right?
Yeah.
So he ends up shooting himself. I was engaged at the time, and I had a vision that night. Never, have you ever had a vision?
I had dreams, but I can't say I had
Okay, this
visions.
is a full-fledged vision, and this is what, in this vision, I saw my fiance in her car in the desert under a tree, dead. This is the night that my brother told me my father killed himself. I could feel the heat from the desert. I could smell and taste the dirt. And then I found myself in the car sitting next to her, and I could smell her sweat and her vomit. It was the most realistic thing I had ever seen. I woke up in a panic. And we were on a bit of a break, right? She's like, "I've got 2 kids, and the baby daddy and I are trying to figure shit out, and I don't know what's what, and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, you do what you got to do. So I called her the next day, and I said, "Hey, look, I know we're on a break, but I have to tell you this. My father just shot himself. I have to go back to Wisconsin, but this is what I saw. I don't care if you've never talked to me, you never see me, or we have any interaction. Please get help. Please go talk to somebody. Don't let this happen to you. This is the most real thing I've ever seen in my life, and I'm freaked." She called me that day, and then she talked to me every day that week I was back in Wisconsin. She checked on me, and checked on my brother, and checked on my mom, and was really gracious and awesome. And then I get back, and she's great for 2-3 days. Then I don't see her. I don't talk to her. I'm like, okay. That Sunday, I get a knock on my door, and it's her girlfriend. And she goes, I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, Terry's dead. I took a deep breath and I went, was she in her car in the desert under a tree? She fell to her knees. She's like, how the fuck did you know that? I fell to my knees. Lost it. And when I say I lost it, I lost it. Right now, I'm 165 pounds. I went down to 108. I was a skeleton. I was a bag of bones because I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to live. I tried to kill myself 3 times. By the way, don't ever try to take a full bottle of NyQuil. You end up with the worst headache ever. It was like a 4-day hangover. It was horrible. But I'm like, please God, take me. I can't take this pain. And when I woke up that next morning, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm here. So I started to mend back, but it was rough. It was rough. I saw psychiatrists, psychologists, and I had to take some medication to kind of help me, right? To stop eating or to start eating and to sleep because the nightmares were just horrific, as you can imagine. And I started building back. It was about 6 months and I started getting back into the flow. And this all happened 2 days. Terry died 2 days before 9/11.
Wow.
So now I have the biggest American tragedy to remind me that 2 days before that, I had lost my beloved, right? So there's that piece to it too. And so it's like, when we talk 9/11, I always get this really weird. Now, today I'm much better, but I always got this real kind of queasy thing like,
Reminder.
It's a bad reminder. I don't need a billboard to tell me that this is what's going on, but there it is. So it made that part pretty difficult. Then 2 years later, my brother's engaged and he's living.
Younger brother.
My younger brother. Yeah, I only have one brother.
Okay.
And he's living in Florida. He's a musician and he's been with this chick. I've met her a couple times. She ODs. She kills herself with alcohol. So now I know why I survived because now I got to help him. Hot ass mess. I mean, he doesn't handle the things the same way I do,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's laid back. He's a musician. He's one of my best friends. I love the kid, but he doesn't have the drive, the ambition, and the things that I do.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a lot more to get him going. Now he never tried. At least he told me he'd never tried to kill himself. But whether he did or not, he hasn't.
Yeah.
So he's still here. But that was really rough. Then we fast forward a bit, and mom's sick. And we're like, okay. And our stepdad calls us and says, you got 24 hours. You got to get home. Now, she had had lung cancer, and she had been on oxygen for, 7 years. Walking around her home with a 150-foot hose so she could have the oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was not a good way to live.
Mm-hmm.
And she passed. And she did it on her own terms. It was beautiful. My grandmother's there. Okay, now she had 4 children. One of her kids, my aunt, died when I was in 2nd grade. So back in the 70s, early 70s. And now all of a sudden, here's my mom. And now she's got 2 boys left. A month to the day after my mother died, my uncle kills himself.
One of the 4 siblings.
Yeah. So now my grandmother of 95 or 98, whatever she was at the time, she's got to bury 2 kids within a month. That was a lot.
Wow.
She taught me how to be super stoic in the moment. And she taught me that when my father killed himself, and then when Terry died, and then with my mom, right? And then, so I always followed that lead. But then when my uncle goes, I had to be that rock for her, of course, right? Which was wild. So then I get divorced, or I'm getting divorced, and I've decided I need to go through the project, which we've mentioned a couple of times. 75-hour men's self-development program, Navy SEAL, Marine, MMA fighter, SWAT operator, and Bedros Keuilian, who was one of the beasts in self-development. One of my good friends, my mentor, my boss.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all there, and I decided I'm either going home in a body bag or I'm graduating. And you and I see a lot of people in the Agogi, where we train, go through the program, right? And they're all like, "Oh yeah, we're ready. Well,
Yeah.
half of them spin out within the first couple of hours. Like we had 4 guys in the last class. They were
Yeah.
all gone in 90 minutes.
Yeah, Byron told me
90.
the attrition rate.
It was horrid. It was a 90% attrition rate.
It's crazy.
Everybody left. I got a concussion night 1, day 1. I was a hot ass mess. And I'm walking around stumbling. They're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I'm old." Because I was the oldest guy by like 15 years in my class.
Yeah.
But I knew I need to get it done. And it helped me to reframe things, to see that I didn't need to be bullied and I can become my own person. We work on the 4 F bombs: fitness, family, finances, and faith, right? We talk about that in the Agogi.
Correct.
And during that time, during the divorce before that, I started getting bullied by my wife. Like, how the hell did I get back here? I swore when I was a kid I would never get bullied again by my father or people at school. And then here's my wife bullying me, shaming me. I'm like, I need to get my life back. And that's what the project did. Helped me reframe who I needed to be and where I was going. So as I'm going through the divorce, I have to sell my business, right? Because her name's on it. So we had to sell the house and sell the business. And I called B and I said, "Hey, I'm selling these things and I'm thinking about moving to Southern California. What do you think?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Come on out and we catch some workouts." And I go, "Well, what do you think about me coming to work for you?" And he's like, "Wait, what? What? Really? You're kidding. I love it. What are you going to do?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'll clean toilets for you, man. Let's figure something out." So I'm working on my 9th job with him now. He keeps putting me in different places to help out in different areas, which is great because I come in as a utility man, as a ninja, and I go wherever you need me to go. And that's been really great. Well, as I'm getting ready to move out here, I start dating another person. Her name is Mary. She was awesome. And we really started to connect. And she was going to move out here with me, right? Like we were just figuring things out. We're going to make this something serious. And I said, "Well, I'm already set to move out in March. So finish up your stuff. You can come out in June or July. I'll have a place for us. We'll be ready to go," and blah, blah, blah. So in April, she gets COVID. Okay. COVID turns, and she doesn't go get checked. She's like, "I'm not going to do that." She's a workout beast. And she's like, "I'll be fine. I got a cold. It's COVID, whatever." I'm like, "Fine." But then she gets pneumonia. I'm like, "Okay, kind of serious now. You should probably go get checked out."
Yeah.
Fine, I'll go get checked out. Now I'm already here at this point. And so we're communicating, and she's like, "So I'm at the hospital and I have a hole in one of my heart valves." Okay. I start getting the feels like, shit. And she's like, I decide, all right, I gotta be the guy, right? Be like, "It's okay, babe. We'll figure it out. Let's make this happen. Just tell me what you need." And she had a really cool boss that was there and helping her out. And he was talking to me all the time about where we are and what's happening. And he's like, "Okay, so they got to crack her chest open, and they got to fix the valve because there's a big hole in her heart." So they go in and do that. 4 days later, she dies. So the 2 women that I have loved the most in my life have both died. I'm cursed. What in the actual fuck is going on here? How am I supposed to live a life where anything I touch romantically turns to shit? You know what I mean? It's like, what What do you do with that? And you always ask those questions. Oh, how much more can I take? Well, God only gives you as much as he can, or the universe or whatever you believe in only gives you as much as you can take. I think I've had enough. Can I just have the check, please? I'm done, man. I'm done. I try to figure out, I'm not a big fan of psychology and psychiatrists, and they've helped me in the past, but I don't want to take medication to dull me down, right? And the stuff that I took had to dull me down so that my body could catch up. But I have a lot of friends that are in the plant medicine space. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, maybe you should do some plant medicine because that can help you kind of reframe things and whatnot. And so in June of last year, I went on my first plant medicine journey. And it was a 3-day event. The first day was just breath work, right? Where you're doing like a Wim Hof breathing and you're just getting super like heated and whatnot. And I had the biggest epiphany. I forgave my father. I forgave my ex-wife. I forgave my mom, my 2 girlfriends that died. I'm like, I get it. It's okay. You're good. I had so much clarity in that moment. I was like, the skies parted. You know what I mean? Where you have all the clouds and all of a sudden and I could see clearly. And then we did the plant medicine journey, and it was a light mixture, and it was from one of my really dear friends. And I got some good epiphanies, and I was like, I am here to reframe regret. And you hear me say this all the time now. Yeah. So reframing regret. Things happen for you, not to you. That's a huge shift.
Amen, brother.
Huge shift. Right? Oh, my father was an asshole to me. He was an alcoholic. Okay. What did you learn? What can you take away from that makes you who you are today? And that's the headspace I'm in now. I also figured out, because I asked, I'm like, I need clarity on why everybody dies around me. Why is it me? Now in your profession, you've had to see that before too. And you and I have talked in depth on a couple of things. And it's like, why do I have to be the one to see this? And because that's your role. But you are there because you have something innate in you that allows you to handle that stuff. Right? Mm-hmm. And so what I got from that journey was I am the shepherd of lost souls.
A shepherd of lost souls.
A shepherd of lost souls. My father, my first fiance, she came to me for love and honor and respect. And I gave her that. And then it was her time to go. My mother, who I was very close with, she was able to go because she knew that I would take care of her mom, her son, her husband, my stepdad, super cool dude, still talk to him all the time. So she knew that she was in a good place and she could go. Then my uncle, same way. Mm-hmm. And I learned that I'm that shepherd. I also went through another journey in January where I went super deep. And
this year?
Yeah, of this year. I wanted to go through another journey in January, and I wanted to go deep and do what's called shadow work. And shadow work is where you really dive into what makes you tick and what are the things that you're looking for, what can come to be, right? During that journey is when I figured out the whole Savage Elder piece. Because with MDK and with Agogi, we have a tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, where's my space in the tribe? Because I'm not a young gun like you, but I can still hunt. I can show you how to hunt, but I can also give you wisdom. So I started looking up what the hierarchy of a tribe is.
Correct.
And I found the elder. And I'm like, but I'm a savage.
Yeah.
Savage Elder. And then the logo I created with it is an octopus or a kraken. And I have a kraken tattooed on my forearm.
That is a nice tattoo, bro.
Thank you. And the Kraken signifies the depths of the oceans, right? And the deadly things down there that we don't even know. There's probably Krakens down there. There's got to be
Probably.
crazy
Yeah. We
nonsense.
haven't
We
explored
don't
the
know
full
anything.
depth of the ocean yet.
So I've gone down there more than once
Mm-hmm.
to attack those things, to make them, to reframe my world so that now I can help others with that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I asked is, what about me? I want to find the Lion Queen. I want to find somebody that can be with me. And I know that I'll probably outlive them because that's what has happened to me before. But what is that going to look like? Okay. Now here's where it gets wild, because you haven't heard this part of the story yet. So during my journey in January,
Okay.
I get a message where in April, my Lion Queen will show up. She will have blonde hair. She will have lost a husband and a son. She has been broken and is working on herself, and she is into plant medicine as well, along with a lot of other things, right? She's sexy, she's sensual, she's all the different things. She likes to have fun, whatnot. So I'm like, okay. I've had so much clarity doing these pieces, and it's helping me now work with people like you to reframe regret and to talk about the different things and how do you get better and how do you look at things differently. Why won't this be true?
Yeah.
Right?
Why not?
So I start kind of manifesting who this person's going to be and what they're going to look like. And I have the list of all the things that I want and all the things that I don't want. Right? And as I've told you, and you know, I now have a girlfriend. Her name is Melissa.
Yeah. I met her.
Yes, you did. You met her at BK Live.
Lovely girl. Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Super nice.
I dated her 15 years ago when I was living in Arizona. She was blonde then.
Wow.
She reached out to me in April.
Uh-huh.
She has 2 kids,
Okay.
a daughter and a son. She doesn't talk to her son or her son's father.
Okay. So yeah, technically, not literally, but technically lost the husband
Lost.
and
Yeah.
the son. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we started talking, I'm like, because she reached out to me. She's like, are you the Chris Barth that I knew back in Arizona working for Massage Envy? I'm like, yeah, holy smokes. How are you? And so we started talking a little bit, and I asked her, I said, what are your intentions? Because I'm not in a place anymore that I just want to hook up and meet chicks. And, you know, I don't do the dating apps. I did them at one point, but that was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that. I want to find somebody that has the same intentions I do or is aligned with me, right? To be the best that she can be.
Correct.
She's dialed in and she's into it. Now, this coming weekend, we're going down to see my shaman in San Diego, and we're going to do a couples retreat.
Oh, nice.
And she's going to do her first plant medicine journey. She's done it recreationally, but never with intention.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have found that person, and I'm giving it everything I can. I'm very intentional in the way I talk with her, the way I love her, the way I carry myself.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's now come full circle to a redemption. I'm planning on staying with her for the rest of it. Whether it's my life or hers, that's how long this one will last. And she agrees, like, this is it. This is the last stop.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think you're on a wonderful path now, man. I can't help but actually do agree with you. I mean, a lot of people around you have died.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is, when you went through that process, and you mentioned yourself, you asked, said you asked God, or you were wondering, why is it that people around me are dying? Looking back at it now, after all that you've gone through, after all this loss that you've experienced in your life, do you think ultimately it made you a better person Do you think that pain was, that trauma, that suffering was necessary for you to be here today?
Absolutely. 1000%. Because I believe that our souls choose us, right? Like it gets a little weird, but there's a line to come to this planet, to this realm,
Mm-hmm.
to live through the lessons that the soul is supposed to learn. And my soul is learning the lessons that it's needed to. And now that I've learned those lessons, I'm able to now teach and help others, right? Because I've gotten wisdom, I've gotten clarity. And so while going through those things were hard as hell, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I like where I'm at and who I am and where I came from because it's not baggage. There's a podcast that Bedros did with Nick Bear, and Nick asked him, he goes, "What's the biggest problem people have, and what's the thing that screws them up?" And B said, "Their story. They're locked into their story. This is who I am. It's
Mm-hmm.
not who you are. We're always evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We're always growing. So yes, I was put here to go through this hell to now help others."
Damn. I mean, not gonna lie, man, your story, it's pretty rough. I mean, the what you've gone through is pretty rough, and it puts a lot of things into perspective. And for me to be able to see you and know you and how you are, with the first time I heard that story, and not even in less details that I heard right now, I was like, damn, like this guy went through all that, and he's still the genuine and kind person that he is. Because I knew you before I knew your story.
Right.
So to me, it was like, holy shit, like all that, yet he's still an amazing human being that he is. And I think to me that's very valuable.
Thank you.
You took your story, you carried it well, but then you took the pen back and you're like, I'm writing the rest of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Melissa, who I'm with now, and she knew me 15 years ago. She's like, "Yeah, man, you were cocksure of everything and you would peacock into a room. You don't do that anymore. You float when you walk. And when you walk into a room, people are like, what just changed? Did the temperature change? What just changed? Because somebody just walked in here or
Yeah.
something's here now."
Yeah.
Right? And we all have that. I mean, when you and I, like when we were at BK Live, holy smokes, there was a lot of head turning going on, right? The energy in that
Yeah.
room was intense.
It was.
And that's because you have a bunch of lion killers that know who they are and know where they're going. And she's like, "That's who you are now. You know exactly who you are and where you're going." It's amazing to see the differences.
Yeah. It's not, people sometimes confuse it with cockiness
Yeah.
or ego. It is really not. And I have these conversations with my fiance. One time we had a talk and she told me that I like the way you carry yourself, to carry yourself around people. Because obviously I'm a different person at home with her. Nobody gets the side of me that she gets.
Right.
I'm a different out there once I step outside this house and I have to fight the war, right?
Right.
But she said that I like the way you carry yourself out there. And that's one of the first things she noticed when we just met. And I asked her, well, what are the things that I do that made you notice me or that you like that I care about? It's the same thing. It's the vibe. It's the way you carry yourself.
Right.
So I started looking back and what is it that I do that I guess brings that energy with it. And it all came down to first and foremost is, fitness.
Mm.
You look good, you feel good, you're gonna have that energy about you. You become more confident, you become more competent, and you just carry yourself different. And then obviously it's the wisdom that comes with years. I mean, I know a fraction of what you know. That's what we're here. That's what I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
But it's the experiences. It's what you've gone through. It's the people you surround yourself with. And nowadays, when I look around and I pay attention to men around us in everyday life, you could tell when a man has lost the spark. You can look him in the eyes and you could tell this man has given up. He's given up his soul. He's given up his purpose. He's now a body in existence. His soul is somewhere deep, deep down and buried inside.
You're
it's
not
sad.
wrong. Yeah.
It's sad.
I was that guy when I was married. I just got it beat out of me. And it was horrid. But you're right. Masculinity, it's a buzzword right now.
Mm-hmm.
But holy smokes, man, it needs to come back in the worst way.
It does. It does. And I think it's people don't understand that for it to come back, something bad really has to happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain it to people. The whole reason behind this podcast is that wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Don't wait for a moment where shit is gonna go so bad that you're just gonna have to wake up.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about myself. Somebody breaks through that door, the only problem that I'm gonna have is how I'm gonna take care of them.
Right.
Not why, or the only issue I'm gonna have is like, well, which gun should I use? Should I
Right.
do it with my hand? Should I do it with a knife? You know, that door is there not for our protection. The door is there for their protection.
Right.
And I keep telling it to a lot of people, and I have these conversations with people like you, Byron, Nate, my guys that I train with. People need to wake up. Men need to wake up, man. It's not funny anymore. All the shit they've been feeding to us throughout the years, it's not funny.
No.
Because there are barbarians out there who are looking for a reason and opportunity to come here and take all this from us. Yeah, we live in 2023. We can order food through a phone. We can go and safely have a walk in the park. But the concept doesn't change. The rest of the world is vicious, wild, and violent. And that's what people don't understand.
No, and they're watching us get stupid, fat, and happy,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready to pounce.
Exactly.
Could not agree more. We are so fucked when somebody tries to come in here because most of these guys are out of breath just going to answer the door.
It's crazy. I have
is.
friends who work in Border Patrol, and they tell me that's just our southern border in our state. And they tell me that on average, there's about 15,000 people that cross the border. That's the 15,000 that they catch, register, and release. And by
Right.
release, I don't mean they send them back. They keep them here, give them asylum, give them care, and all that stuff. How many do you think they don't catch? Why do you think human trafficking is such a profitable business that it's
Insane.
now surpassing gun trafficking and drug trafficking? At that rate, I did the math, it's a little over 1 million a year registered, the one that they do catch. And these are not your regular moms and pops and
No.
villagers. These are, I'm talking about violent South American countries. And not only that, there's people from all across the world now because cartel is now transporting them from across the world and into this country. I mean, we're talking about Nicaragua, Brazil, Salvador, China, Asia, Russia, Ukraine. And it's not women and children, brother.
No.
It's grown men like me and you, extremely violent and ready to get down.
Yep. Wanting to. And just ready for it.
I mean, look at Europe.
Yeah.
Look what's going on there.
It's a hot mess.
It's a bad hot mess too.
Yeah.
When they open the borders, I call them like, this is not a good idea.
Nope.
I was born in the Middle East. I'm very familiar with Islam. I love that religion. I love the people. But I also know what, the violent side of Islam is, what extremism is. And sure as shit, their open borders are now biting them in the ass.
Yep.
And now we're having that problem here. This administration is killing this country.
Oh my gosh.
Destroying it.
Yeah. And everybody sits back.
But, it's how dare you talk about it?
Right.
Feelings matter.
Right. Don't hurt my pronouns.
Yeah. They don't give a shit about our feelings. Pronouns. They don't give a How many of them do we have nowadays, man? I feel like there's more and more every fucking day.
I love getting asked that. I'm like, my pronouns? What do you mean? Well, how do you identify? Fuck off. That's my pronoun. What are you talking about?
Oh man,
it's stupid.
It's stupid. But
go ahead.
You know why we're here, right? It's because we've become so fat and lazy and arrogant, thinking that we're the shit and thinking that the rest of the world is just as comfortable as we are, that we have no purpose. And lack of purpose leads men to self-destruction. Look at history. Yeah. Byzantine, Greece, Rome, Sparta. Great Sparta, dude. Right. What happened? Went to its own demise because they got lazy, fat, sloppy, homosexual.
Right.
And who knows Sparta now? Where is it? Right. It's gone.
Alexander the Great.
Yeah. His entire empire.
Drank himself to death at 26.
It's crazy. It's just mind-boggling,
Yeah.
you know. And then next thing you know, what happens? By barbarian tribe comes in, you
Yeah.
know, China and Mongolia. You have and then the barbarians took over. You have the actual barbarians from the north that conquered half of the world. You know, like I said, the enemy is waiting. They're just waiting patiently, and they're watching.
It's bad. And that's why it's important, to your point, that there's people like us around here and the people that you and I surround ourselves with to make sure that we keep the order, right? Even when everybody else is going, oh, you can't do that. You got to be nice to these people. You can't talk to them that way.
Nobody gives a shit about your
It's
feelings.
horrible. Nobody does.
Fuck you.
They really don't.
Feelings not gonna say
No.
you. I did have a question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you felt like you were bullied in your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an important topic to talk about because over and over again, I see that happening to men nowadays, especially this younger generation of men who were raised by single mothers who did not have a male figure growing up, as an example.
Right.
And they get into relationships and they become domesticated and they become bullied. Hell, I've seen it with my own eyes amongst my friends. You know, take a nice, good-looking stud of a guy, and then next thing you know, he gets married and becomes domesticated, fat, lazy. You know, becomes manipulated. Next thing you know, 5 years down the road, oh, I'm divorcing you.
Right.
Why? Well, because you're so and so. But well, you fucking made him that way.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, when I went into this marriage, it was really great. Obviously, at the beginning, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
It was great, and we're doing things and we're having fun. And then it's slowly, as I look back at it, it's slowly taking away my privileges. Right? She comes to me one day and she's like, I don't really want to have sex anymore. I don't feel like being a sex kitten. I don't care if I never have an orgasm again. And I'm like looking around going, what? No, that's not okay. Right? What are you talking about? We can't not do that. That's just dumb. And then it was the slow, well, you work out too much. And why aren't you wearing your ring when you work out? I'm not wearing my ring when I work out because it's going to get caught on the bar or I'm going to maul it.
Barbells have grips on them for a reason.
Yeah.
So you can grip onto it.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to go find somebody. I'm working out. I married you. What do you, huh? But it was all those little things, right? You should just eat with us and let's have some fun. Let's go out let's go pizza. Let's go burgers. Let's go this. And the next thing I knew, I was up to 180, 190. And I was pudgy.
Yeah.
Right. And as B says, I had gelatinous titties and Cheeto dust in my belly button. And I'm looking like, shit, that was me.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. And then I ended up sleeping on my couch in my own home for 1.5 years. What?
Yeah.
And I wasn't even allowed to sleep the whole time. Like she'd come down and say, here's a picture of this. Here's a picture of this. What's going on with this? And I'm like, oh my God. I was just, I was like a prisoner of war.
You went through jealousy.
I did. Prisoner of war.
Yeah.
And I made mistakes. I had an affair. I hadn't been touched in 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And I was weak. And I never wanted to be that person, but I was.
That's crazy.
And we were in a Mexican standoff. Who's going to, right? Me and the wife were at a Mexican standoff. You want a divorce, I want a divorce. But we got to make sure that somebody does something wrong so we can hold it over their heads. And that was the thing.
That's toxic.
That was very toxic.
Yeah.
But I fell into the trap for a reason, and this is where it comes back around, is that I lost my purpose. Because we have to, and this is men and women, we have to take care of ourselves first.
Correct.
Right? If you don't get yourself correct, how can you take care of anybody else? Right? If you don't go work out and do your readings and do your journaling, how in the hell are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to take care of Coley? How are you going to take care of your job and the people that you need to protect in this great city? You can't.
Yeah.
Because you don't show up for you. And so that's the thing that we all need to make sure we're doing, is taking care of ourselves first, self-mastery first. then you can help everybody else. And I tell that to women all the time. You need to get a workout regimen. You need to be able to do something for you before you help the kids, before you help your spouse or your significant other or whatever you're doing, your goldfish, it doesn't matter. Take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else, because then you can give to others because you've already fed you.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing that's missing.
100%. I cannot agree with you more.
Yeah.
I think people confuse that with selfishness.
Yes.
It's not selfish to take care of yourself.
I did a video not too long ago, and I said to be selfless, you have to be selfish.
It makes sense.
You got to take care of you and say, I'm not going there, I'm not eating that, I'm not doing this, I'm going to bed at this time, so that I can be selfless and give back to you, and I can help you, and I can lift that car off that poor person that got hit in the intersection, right? Or I can run after the crook who just took that lady's purse.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, I can fight my way out of anything because I take care of myself. You have to be selfish to be selfless.
I love it. I love it. You have to be selfless. No, you got to be selfish
to be selfless.
I love it.
Yeah.
You got to move the mic, point of the mic low towards yourself like that. Yeah.
Is that better?
Way better. Perfect.
Right.
Crisp sound now. It's like the phone recording. What would you tell men? This is my beginning idea of what I realized from some of my relationships. And my last relationship was very similar to yours. She was extremely jealous because she had previous relationship that sucked, that made her very insecure.
Right.
That bullshit spilled into my relationship. Like me and Cole had an episode that trauma affects your relationship.
Yeah.
We talked about that. She called it territorial. I'm like, you're jealous. No, I'm territorial. I'm like, no, you're fucking jealous. You need to understand that you need to work on it. But she called it territorial. And we would always argue about that. And I never had any affairs. And I never even talked to any other woman. Like when I'm not going to lie, when I'm single, I'm a chaos, dude. Like
right.
I shouldn't be out there.
Right.
Anything I touch, I destroy. But it's fair game.
Right.
But when I'm in a relationship, I'm committed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't cheat. I don't mess around. I go 100% either way.
Mm-hmm.
Both are fun. But she always thought that I'm cheating, that I'm this, that I'm that. I don't know why she never trusted me. And she called it being territorial. But what I realized eventually is that compromising is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing when you're compromising is you slowly giving away your power, bit by bit, brick by brick. So I made a decision that after that relationship, a no is a no. There's no compromising. And I don't mean like compromising like, all right, we want pasta or we want Mexican. Like that's irrelevant. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like serious things, compromising about serious things. So I'm not quick anymore to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like if needed to be, I'll make a decision quick.
Sure.
But if it's something I need to think about it, and I realize if I gotta say no, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna stick with it. There's no compromising, because women are just like predators. They're good at sensing fear and weaknesses. That's their power and that's their strength. A wise woman can be of great benefit to a man because she can point out these weaknesses to him and say, hey, work on that. I got your back on that one. I see it. Like Coley is great at that. She watches me. She sees what I do. And I try to be a leader in all aspects of my life, starting with myself. But she sees what I'm missing and she tries to plug it in. And I love that about her.
Yeah.
But any woman out there, you take a woman with those skills who's vicious and jealous and manipulative, that's a monster.
Yeah.
That's a predator just looking to attack you.
Right.
And a lot of these dudes who were raised by single mothers or queens or I don't need a man or men are shit, they're not prepared for that.
Nope.
They have no idea that they're being manipulated. So my question to you is, how can these men out there spot these red flags and prepare themselves for this mental warfare?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it starts with, and you mentioned it, not lowering your standards. Like know to your core what values you hold. What are you willing to give and what do you want back in return? Right? Because the old adage, I want to, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Ah, that's
It's
outdated.
bullshit. It's way outdated. But if you hold yourself to a certain standard and you tell that person, whoever you're with, that queen or that rando that you met at the bar or whatever, this is who I am and this is what I'm willing to do. And you hold that. And you don't care if they stay or they go. You have to be that person. Like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And that's going to help you. Another thing that's going to help is a book that I read. It's called The Way of the Superior Man.
Jack Donovan?
Yeah. No, not Jack Donovan. That was a different one. So The Way of the Superior Man, and now all of a sudden his name escapes me. But it is...
I read that book too. Good book. Maybe not
Holy
Jack Donovan,
smokes.
but it's a good book, yeah.
I've read it. Like, next year I'm going to read only 10 books. I normally read about 50 books a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm only going to read 10, and I'm going to do the same ones each and every time. I want to say it's David Dita.
Yes.
That's who it is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Dude, life-changing. And when I got with Melissa, I said, this is how I'm going to love you, and this is how I'm going to show up in my masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very feminine, so she's like, I'm all about it. Now, she's had to be masculine. Coley's had to be masculine, right? Because while women can be predators, so can dudes. We know guys are predators.
We should be predators.
We should be.
I don't think women need to be predators.
I agree.
It's our job,
right,
to be predators.
It is, because we hunt and gather.
Yeah, we hunt and gather
for the right reasons, right? And we protect for the right reasons. But most of those women, like Coley's had to be masculine to protect herself.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa had 2 babies, and the dad was garbage, so she ran it. Is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to have that masculine gene, but they still are not masculine. There's a big difference between a woman telling you what to do and how to do it and a man telling you what to do and how to do it. And I know we're going to get some hate on that, but that's just the fact.
It's a fact.
You know, when you're in the presence of somebody who has true masculine, like you and I, you know, okay, this is a safe room because these 2 dudes won't let anything happen to anybody. In this whole apartment complex we're in, everyone is safe. And so as a guy, to answer that question for you, as a guy, you need to be present in who you are. Do not waver. Can you compromise on food?
Yeah.
On little things that don't matter, but on the route that you're taking, the way that you're going to live, the intentionality and who you are, that cannot waver.
Never.
Ever. Because then you end up like me, a lapdog back in the day, or a lot of these other guys that we see that they hate their wives or they hate their lives or they hate their kids and they don't talk to anybody and they just, woe is me. And they've peaked. Never freaking peak.
Never peak, man.
Yep.
Never.
Yep.
It's crazy because Coley, I had a talk with her one time, and I didn't start this talk. She brought this up. I come home one day, and she's just like in the hot tub, just soaking, you know, with candles and whatever, and she's just like all in her feminine. She's like, I got something to tell you. I'm like, what? She's like, I realized today that I was forced to be masculine in my life because, you know, how her parents were, and then her dating relationship with these weak ass fucking men, and she was forced to be masculine. So I did have to break her culture a little bit when we started dating, but not in a sense that like it's my way or highway.
Right.
I showed up for myself.
Right.
And she saw that I am the force to be reckoned with.
Right.
And she realized that I am so confident and comfortable with you and your masculine that I naturally gave into my feminine. And I'm relaxed in my feminine, and this is my natural state. She said it herself.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask. And I told her, that's wonderful. I love that. And just so you know, by being in your feminine, you are of the most help to me.
Yes.
In my masculine.
Yes.
Because the last thing I, as a man, want to ever deal with is another masculine energy in my house.
Right.
Like, this is my house. I don't need another man in my house.
No.
Not even physically, mentally, spiritually. I don't need not the man's presence in my house.
Right.
Not my dad, not my siblings, not her dad, nobody.
Right.
This is my house. I run my fucking house, so I want to run it. And I'll listen to her. I come to her advice. She's a wise woman. I listen to her. But at the end of the day, it's my decision. And my decisions are not made for me. My decisions are made for this family.
Right.
So by default, my decision should benefit her.
Right.
That's what I told her. And she was able to relax into my masculine and trust my decisions. I think it's important.
It is. It's the polarity that we need. And the polarity is being lost. And Melissa's the same way. She's like, I feel so comfortable because I can be in my feminine and I know you've got this. But she will point out, that was a little rough.
Yeah.
Because I'm very poignant in what I say.
Yeah.
So are you. We kind of have to be that way. And I have found for me, that is the best way to live because I'm not going to sugarcoat things.
Mm-mm.
Maybe to an extent. To her, I will. Or if I'm talking to Coley, I'm not going to come out, fangs going at and coming hard or anything like that. But just say, hey, look, I don't think that was a great idea.
Yeah.
You can soften that up. But you're right. The polarity is so important. And when you get to have those kind of conversations with your significant other, dude, that's the prize. Because she gets it, you get it, and you're building that life together the way you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Together, side by side. I told Melissa, I'm like, you are going to be by my side. Not in front of me, not behind me, right next to me.
Yeah.
Because you are my equal, but you are also the polarity of me. Right?
Correct.
I'm the masculine, you're the feminine.
It's the yin and yang.
It's the yin and yang.
You need it.
Yep.
You need it in life. That's what a lot of these women don't understand is that just because I want you to be at home and not out there partying, shaking your ass.
Right.
Just because I want you to know how to cook and not buy food all the time.
Right.
Just because I want you to listen to me and be submissive and not be out there preaching that you're a queen bee or whatever. That doesn't mean I'm trying to manipulate you or put restraints on you.
No.
The door is right there. It's open. All that means is that, number one, I want to see if you have the mother qualities in you. If I were to have kids with you one day,
right,
are you going to be able to feed them when I'm gone? Take care of them when I'm gone? Raise them with the right mindset when I'm gone? Because you can't trust this fucking public school system nowadays.
No.
Look at the garbage they teach these kids, man. It's trash.
Yeah.
I used to make fun of people who used to put their kids in private schools back in the days. Now,
smartest thing they could do.
Fuck, man. I might have to homeschool them myself.
Yeah.
Because look at the shit around you.
It's horrid.
We're the gayest, fattest, dumbest nation in the world.
We are.
Statistically, it's sad.
Yeah.
How do we go from the greatest country in the world, statistically,
right,
to now that? We still are the greatest country in the world, but numbers are not lying.
No.
Eating
ice cream and sniffing people's hair. That's what we're doing now.
Yeah, because we have that retard for a fucking president. What do you expect?
We can go all day there.
Well, it boggles my mind. How did this, again, greatest country in the world ended up with a retard for a president?
Yeah.
How? How do we get here? What did we do wrong?
It's all a plan, man.
I mean,
we could go down dark state and all that nonsense, but it's all by design because they want to dumb us down.
To control us.
To be a herd.
Yeah.
So that we don't uprise and we're just, right? I mean, COVID was the perfect test.
Good test trial.
It was a great test trial.
Yeah.
They learned so much.
Yep.
And there's so much, come on. Oh, there's a new variant.
Get out of here with your variant.
It's a cold. Shut the fuck up. And yeah, it never ends. And it won't end. Because at some point, and you said this earlier, at some point it's going to go down. We're going to get invaded or it's going to crumble.
Something's going to
happen. And unless you know how to take care of yourself and those around us, I heard this stat the other day, 9 meals. If you miss 9 meals, anarchy. Because McDonald's isn't open. Yeah. I can't go to Burger King. I can't get the 2 tacos at Jack in the Box. Oh, shit. Now I'm losing it. You and I, we're good.
When people were buying toilet paper
during
COVID, guess what I was buying? Ammo.
Yeah. Lots of it.
Because if sugar comes to shit and the times are really that bad, I would rather have enough ammo than enough toilet paper.
Right.
And any man who with common sense would agree with you on that one.
Totally.
Because I can go out there and I can hunt, I can kill, I can
Mhm.
skin, I can prep, and I can make a meal. I've done it before. It's not that hard.
It's not.
Okay. There's this great book right here, Hard Times Create Strong Men.
Yes.
Phenomenal book. And he actually, the author, may he rest in peace, Stefan Arnio, he quoted Dita multiple times in this book. Multiple times. And he talks about that. I mean, we have to be aware of what's coming.
Yeah.
If we're not, we're gonna get caught off guard.
And most people will get caught off guard.
Always.
Even when they tell us, hey, it's coming.
Yeah.
By the way, they'll be invading next week. Oh, is it next week already?
Still got time.
What the hell is wrong with
It's
you?
like the project experience, right? How many months in advance do you guys prep these guys for?
I had 6 months to prep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people jump in just with a couple of weeks. Like my buddy Max did it
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. He was 24 years old when he went through.
Yeah.
He was a beast. Still is. But they can, and now they can sign up a year in advance, and we take them through the Agogi.
Yeah.
And they have a specific thing that they do. And we have a specific coach who graduated as the honor man, top guy in his class, former Ranger, beast of a man.
Who's that?
That's Joe Lupo.
Okay.
And then Byron teaches a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then Nate teaches a lot of
Yeah.
them. We've all been through the
All those
project.
guys are beasts.
Yeah. And I end up talking to a lot of the guys. Oh, you're going through the project? You got to talk to Barth. Talk to the elder. And I start telling them some stuff. And the biggest thing I say is, don't quit. Oh, I won't. Yeah, you will. I can see it in your eyes. And they just, the first sign of uncomfortable or stress, they're out. I would get prepped for, if I did the project again, I would get prepped for 6 months. I would just dive in as I did, but I would know that I'm not prepared, because no matter how prepared you are, you're not. Even if you went through it and you are squared away, you're not prepared for what's about to happen, because you don't know when it starts. You don't know when it ends.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know how the instructors are going to single you out, because they do. And they find your weakness, because that's their job.
That's their job.
To find that weakness and have you flip the switch so that you never lose that again.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. As an instructor myself in different discipline, that's something that we do look for.
Uh-huh.
We do look for weaknesses. There's really no point to sharpen your sharp skills already, because you can do it on your own.
Right.
The point is, what are your weaknesses? That's the whole point of being a coach and instructor,
right,
or a mentor, is fine tuning the little parts that are dragging you down, that you're not realizing yourself that you have.
And that's what I do with Savage Elder stuff, is I just reframe what you say. I would just go, you said something interesting there. Do you realize that it's what you said was this? Have you ever considered it might be this?
Mm-hmm.
And they look at me like, where the hell did you get that? Well, I've been alive for 1,000 years. I've learned a few things. And it's just reframing what you say, what you think, and what you do. And that is how you're able to see things differently and find those moments of weakness to correct them, so that you can physically, mentally, and emotionally handle whatever comes to your door. That's what you do when you're doing the training, and that's what I will do in the training that I give, right? And the comments that I have, and conversations I have with you and the other guys. But it's amazing. If you don't look for where am I weak, how will you ever get strong?
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think people are too comfortable, too lazy, and too scared to work on their weaknesses.
Right.
Because being a victim is easier.
Right.
But stepping up to the plate, owning up to your shit, and understanding that you got to fix a whole list of things is tough.
I don't want to face that. That was a really bad time in my life. Well, how are we going to get over it? Face it. Put your face in the fire. That's what I do now.
Yeah.
And that's my new thing, is I put my face in the fire. If it's going to get crunchy, if it's going to be hard, I'm in. There is no easy.
And that's why I love talking to you about stuff like that. This year I realized something that really reframed my state of thinking. For the longest time of my life, what I would do with my skeletons is I'd keep them in the closet.
Yeah.
But I did it very well.
Yeah.
I learned. So in the beginning, the closet door was like cracked open. They would spill out, and it would spill out into anger, frustration, violence, drinking, partying, womanizing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a hold of that. I closed that door solid, and I started working on that. It was working out well. Now that I got a little older, I realized that closing that door, no matter how solid it is, they're still there.
Yep.
They remind you of shit.
Yep.
This year, when I realized that it's not a good idea to keep them in the closet, no matter how tightly it's closed,
Right.
You need to bust that bitch open and you need to clean the whole closet, man. And that's hard. I thought I had under complete control, and I had it under very good control, brother.
Sure.
Very good control.
Of course
It took
you
me
did.
years to take care of it.
Yep.
Years, over a decade of self-mastery. But now I'm on a whole different level. Now I'm at the level where like, fuck this. I'm going to open that bitch up and I'm going to clean that closet up. And that's work. That's work, man.
Yeah.
Constant work.
I did a video today and I said, and I'll propose this to you. You walk into a room, do you size everybody up?
Yeah.
What do you look for?
Threats first and
Okay.
foremost.
What else do you look for?
Friends.
Friends.
Once I single out who a potential threat is,
Yep.
then I figure out, oh, who can I make? Who can I be friends with?
And then what's the last one you look at?
Who can I help?
Yep. Or who's the easiest one to kill? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically,
Yeah.
if you're in a room where you think there's going to be threat, you assess the threat first. Who's
Mhm.
going to be the first one to come at me? Then the second wave. And then who are the easy ones? If you were in intelligence or the Green Berets, you'd say, who can I turn?
Yeah, true. That's what Green Berets do.
Right?
They're good at that.
What you're saying is, what do you do in here? Because we have a closet full of different voices. I got different voices hitting me every day. Every day. And I have to assess who's the loudest one in the room. Who's the one that needs help? Who's the one that's spinning off the planet? Which of my emotions or past lives or past traumas is the one sitting in the corner eating paste and laughing at the dumbest shit? Or who's the one that's going to cause the most trouble to me? That is what you need to look at. Because you can walk into a room and say, this is where I need to be, right? You go into a restaurant with Coley, you sit so you're facing the door. I'm Coley and I'm facing you.
Yeah. My back is against the wall.
Exactly.
Where the exit is.
Exactly. You have to do that in your mind. You have to do that with your emotions and see what's going on. There should be 3 versions of yourself that you cycle through at all times. And that's the inner child, right? That's the little angry one that's afraid of everything. Like when you get a call, then you're like, gotta go. There's that little, I'm not ready. I don't want to go. This could be scary. That's not good. That's a bad part of town, right? You hear that. Then there's the now. There's the person you are right now. That's the one that's going to actually do it. Then there's the elder. There's the one that's been through it, who's done that, who's seen it, who knows the outcome 7 different ways, right? Like Doctor Strange in Endgame.
Yeah.
He's like, I went through this 14 million times.
There's only one.
There's only one way to do this, and I can't tell you how to do it, right? So you have to have the savage or the elder listen to the young one that's freaking out and just go, I get it. It's cool. We're good. I got this. Sit on the side. Let the present one take the wheel, and I'll watch everybody's back. That's how we should be cycling through what's happening in every moment that comes up for us.
Shit, that's deep, man. That's deep. I think I would make that equivalent to this fear.
Yep.
And there's the now. I can equivalent now to anything. And the future one is just the belief.
Right, the wisdom.
The wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the fear, the action, and the wisdom.
There you go. The action and the wisdom.
Right.
And courage is not absence of fear, right? Who said that? Courage is not absence of fear. It's being scared and still doing it.
Right. I don't know, but he was
It was a
brilliant. I think Ryan Holiday has said that a couple
Yeah,
of
it was
times
somebody.
too.
It was a great American actor and a cowboy, probably your generation. I've seen that poster somewhere. I'll find out. But yeah, the action. What do they say? An ounce of action is better than a pound of knowledge.
That's right. Yeah, but I mean, when you go on calls, you're nervous. How can you don't know what you're walking into? You're walking into, a theft at a liquor store. Who knows what could be in there?
Yeah,
There could be 18 guys with Uzis or some machine guns or what the hell ever.
yeah.
You don't know. But you have to go in face first into the fire and figure it out.
I sign up for this shit.
You did. Yeah, you got all the colorful things to wear. You got the gun. You got all the things you're supposed to do. The knowledge on how to do it. Go protect and serve. But you have to have courage to do that. But courage also means that you're scared. And that you're like that, but you harness that energy to propel you forward because it keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
Because you've learned how to control that. Right? Whereas the kid that we were talking about earlier that's inside of you that's freaked out, they don't know how to control that energy. It's like a puppy or like your cat when your cat's pissed off. That thing's walking around like, I'm just going to create anarchy.
Yeah.
But you know how to harness that and utilize that for the greater good of you and whoever you're protecting.
Yeah. There's always times where, like Pedro says, my asshole's puckered in, but I got to go and do it. And you got to go and do it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that go through your mind, like tactically.
Yeah.
What is the best thing I can do to not go home in a body bag? But you just kind of have to do it and hope to God you
get through it.
You get through it.
I love the pucker moment.
Yeah.
And then even when and that goes into the whole making mistakes and the lessons that you learn. I love to fail.
It's the best lesson.
This is the best. All we do is fail. But then you look at it and what did I learn? Right? When you can sit back and go, God, that was a shit show. I really fucked that thing up. Why? Here's why. Here's what I did.
And do better. And do better.
Right.
That's why for me I'm not perfect.
No.
I'm not the smartest person in the room.
No.
I try to be the hardest worker, but I tell you what, you will never see me make the same mistake again.
Right.
You won't. That's one thing I don't do.
Right.
You won't see me make the same mistake again. If it really came down to it and I really thought about it and I registered it, that's why to me saying sorry, like I just had a little moment with my chick today, right? And she's like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't want you to say sorry. I want you to not do it again.
Right.
Okay. I don't care if people say sorry. Don't do it again. Fix it.
Right.
That's what matters.
Own it.
Own it and fix it.
Right.
And that's the beautiful part about owning your shit.
Right.
There's so many benefits from it. When you own something, you're forced to feel it. You're forced to feel the pain of slight regret, of making a mistake, of falling down on your ass. And then you feel that feeling and you're like, fuck, I don't want to feel it again.
Right.
So what do? You don't make that same mistake again.
Yep.
And you touched about fear. There's a great book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book.
Amazing book.
And I suggest that book for all women out there because the second half of the book talks specifically about all these cases where women have escaped mass murders and rapists and serial killers instinctually.
Yeah.
Okay. But nowadays, people are so afraid to I don't want to say stereotype, but generalize, that they shut down that fear, which is essentially a gut feeling. Because we as humans, we lost that gut feeling.
Yes.
Animals still have it. That sixth sense. We lost it and we suppress it now, not to offend other people. And guess what? Studies have shown that you got to listen to your gut feeling because it'll save your ass.
Yep. It'll
save your life. And time again, my gut feeling has saved my ass.
Absolutely.
And I suggest all the women read that book.
Yep.
Because hopefully they'll save them too. Because a lot of predators out there, a lot of evil out there who's out there just looking for prey.
Agreed. And you said something earlier too that's interesting, is about perfection. Everybody wants to be perfect. Perfection is the lowest form because it's unattainable.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is perfect. You're perfectly imperfect. I tell that to Melissa all the time. Look, you are perfect for me because you're imperfect. Your flaws and your imperfections, I love it. It means the world to me.
Yeah. It's
right?
the little things.
It's the little things.
Yeah.
Our friendship is perfect. You're perfect person to be doing what you're doing because of your imperfections, because of the things that you've learned, because of the things that you've done has made you right for the seat. Not perfect because you're imperfect.
I think nobody should be perfect.
You can't
Because when
be.
you try to be perfect, you set yourself up for failure.
Always.
And you can't be perfect because that means you have to be perfect for everyone around you. And that's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible.
You can't.
You just end up not living your own life.
Right.
You end up living life for somebody else. And that's sad. That's sad. It's not life. It's existence. It's existence. What do you think men need to do nowadays to take their rightful place in this world? Because like, you know, the hashtag that I use, that I like to think that I created it, but I don't know if I did, but my hashtag, make men great again.
Yep. Let's make it happen. That's you.
That's my goal. I want to make men great again. I want men to take their rightful place in this world, on this planet, in this universe. I want us to bring back to that.
Yeah.
Because when men are great, all aspects of life benefit. The society benefits, women benefit, children benefit, elderly, everybody benefits. It all starts with men, believe it or not. So what do you think men need to do starting today to take their rightful place in this world, to make the world a better place?
Man. And I say deep things.
Hit me with that savage elder wisdom, brother.
So you need to, first of all, guys, you need to get in the gym. You got to work out. You got to eat right. And you got to make sure that you are dialed in. Like I talked about earlier, you have to have a morning routine and an evening routine that'll keep you solid. Disciplined. Physically, mentally, and emotionally fit. Then you have to own your shit.
Accountability.
You have to have accountability for you and for others around you. Even if you don't have anything to do with them, you're accountable for them because you're there. You have to be truthful in who you are and what you do. Right? My truth is that I need to do my morning routine, my evening routine. I need to show up and have accountability. And that means that I have extreme ownership in who I am and what I do. And that's the truth. And that's my truth. Now people say, well, this is my truth on what I saw happen. No. This is what truth you live to be better. And then the other thing that men need to do is lead. You need to lead yourself. First lead yourself, then lead your significant other, then lead your children, your community, and however big that goes.
Yeah. I could not have said it better, bro. You got to lead. You got to start with yourself.
Yep.
Nothing will ever change in your life, and nobody will ever follow you if you're not the leader of yourself.
That's right.
It starts with you.
Yep.
The person who will call me out the fastest on my bullshit is Coley.
Yeah.
My fiance.
Yep.
So if I become soft, which I don't allow myself to, because I have days where I'm like, man, this is bullshit. You know, like Byron says, get dick punches.
Yeah.
15 of them in a row. But she will call me out. And I can't afford to be a weak man in front of my woman. Nope. And I can't afford to be a weak man amongst other men. Because if I'm weak amongst other men, they smell fear. They smell prey.
Right.
But I cannot afford to be weak in front of my woman because that puts her in danger.
Yeah.
And I can't be that.
And she'll lose respect.
She'll lose respect for you.
When you lose respect, done.
That's what men want. We want respect.
Right.
Women want love.
And we want respect.
We want respect. That's the difference.
Right.
I don't need to be cuddled. I don't need to be kissed and hugged. I need to be respected.
Right.
And I demand and I expect respect by first and foremost respecting myself, which ties back down to that old saying, treat others how you want to be treated.
Right.
Such bullshit. And I'll give you an example why. What if the way you like to be treated is like a piece of shit?
Right.
That means you're going to treat others like a piece of shit. No, don't standardize everybody by the way you allow other people to treat you. That's why I disagree with that saying.
I totally agree with that. It worked back then because people didn't have free thinking and going off on these rainbow tangents of everything and, you know, doing those different pieces. But yeah, you're right. We have to have respect. We have to lead. We have to have accountability. We have to have extreme ownership and do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
That's what we have to do.
It's an important one.
Yep.
Regardless of other people's feelings.
Right.
Because I hate having to, and we know people in the tribe who also feel a certain way, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Having to censor what you have to say just so that you can't, offend and hurt other people's feelings.
Right.
What kind of bullshit is that? I guarantee you our founding fathers, when they're writing the Constitution, if they hear this shit now, they'll be like, are you kidding me? This is why we
not
fought?
what we, right.
This is why we died?
Right.
We created this country? Not for anybody's fucking feelings.
No.
We fought, bled, and died for this country so we can have freedom of speech, religion, expression, right to bear arms. And that's why I love this country. I'm a patriot, and I love this country. It's given me everything that I have, and
right.
I'll go as far as saying I'll die for this country. Like, I have talks with some of my boys, and we had a conversation the other day. They said, well, there's another country that's coming up in the world right now. It might be a good idea to move. I was like, great, but I don't want to.
No.
Maybe when I have family and kids one day, I'll reconsider. But my biggest fear today is having to do what my mother did. Right. Leave everything behind, go to a new country and start over and work for pennies to be able to establish your life again. That's my fear. And for me, I think I'd rather die for this country.
Agreed. I agree. And you can't be so worried about getting canceled, because that's the big thing now. Well, you don't want to offend somebody and get canceled.
Yeah.
Give a shit about that.
Somebody's fucking feelings are hurt.
Right. I'm doing the right thing. And if that means I run alone, I run alone. Well, but I won't, because I have a tribe of people that all do the same thing.
Exactly.
Yep.
You have to be part of a tribe. Speaking of which, I want to touch about something you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
There's hierarchy in a tribe.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you took on a role of a Savage Elder, which I think you embody perfectly.
Thank you.
And I think it's important for young guns out there to understand that, because the greatest wisdom you can get is from somebody who's lived your life.
Right.
Just like mentors are a shortcut to success.
Right.
In every tribe, right, there are elders. Like when I was a kid, I would watch the elders, and I became a young adult. I'm a grown man.
Right.
Now I get to coach and mentor other guys who are younger than me, which is a privilege and an honor. But at the same time, I come to people like you for wisdom and for advice. So how do you think these young men out there can get around of finding people and coaches and mentors, or just elderly, who can give them advice? Like what should they do? How can they go about it? Because some of them grew up without
dads, without
dads.
The male figure, yeah. It's interesting too, because I'm the Savage Elder because I can still go out and hunt, right? I don't look 55. I don't act it. I look like a guy that's in shape.
Mm-hmm.
Like
in good shape, brother.
Right. And I just did a photo shoot last week, and I was at 8% body fat at 55. 8% at 55.
Damn, I couldn't even break double digits.
Right.
I came close.
So it's one of those things where when you want to find somebody, like when you hear the elder, you hear elderly. And I'm not a guy, and people tease me, where's your walker? You're
get out of here.
Stuff like that. And don't break a hip. Be careful going down the stairs. But when you find somebody and you look at those tribes, right? You look at the Native Americans, or you look at really any culture that had that hierarchy, the ones that were still looked at and revered We're in shape.
Mm-hmm.
We're mentally, physically, and emotionally ready to go to battle if needed.
Yeah.
I'm not the main hunter anymore. That's your job. I'm the one that's going to teach you how to be more cunning, how to do it quicker, easier, safer. I'm the one that will then tell you, here's the lesson for today, right? So to find those guys, you want to look at people that take care of themselves, right? Like you could go up to any old guy on the street and say, hey man, what do you think is the best idea for me to do with this? I don't know. I'm heading to the bar right now because it's happy hour. That's not the right person to go to.
No.
So you have to find that person. And where will they hang out? Probably the gym. They're probably engaged with high performing programs, right? Summits, different places. Like we went to BK Live and we got to hang out. And that was a bringing together of nothing but lion killers and high performers, savages everywhere. It was electric. And so when you find places like that, or you can see a lot of people online that talk a good game, but then just kind of dig in and see where do they come from? What's their story? Even though you don't want to just hang their hat on their story, but what have they learned and where are they moving toward now? Right?
Yeah.
And I follow a lot of guys that are in my space, and I'm starting to find more Savage Elders out there. Like we mentioned Jack Donovan earlier. Savage Elder for sure.
He's definitely a savage.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Bezos. Savage Elder.
Yeah.
And right. So you can still find those people. Andy Frasilis.
Yeah.
Freaking savage. So you can find those people by looking in the right places, and the internet or in Instagram and Facebook is a great place to do that. But then to find one locally, it would be in the gyms or in men's groups that you can find.
Even social media.
Social media is obviously the best way to do that. You can reach hundreds of thousands of millions of people.
Just don't be afraid. A lot of dudes out there, they're afraid.
Yeah.
You know, they're afraid to ask. As simple as I'll be at the gym and I see this young cat, right? Good shape. And I'm at the bench. I'm using the bench. And he just like circling around me. And usually I'm like the type of person who's like, you want to work out? Jump in. Like I would invite.
Right.
But this kid, I'm like, all right, let me watch. Let me watch this young generation of so-called men. Is he going to take a step and ask me? And if he will, by all means, it's a jam-packed gym right now. By all means, brother, let's jump in.
Right.
But he stood there and he circled around 4 benches and he didn't ask for like good 5-10 minutes and he just walked away. And I was like, fuck, dude, like take a step, man.
Right.
Just ask.
That's it.
No, I would never shut you down. I want you to be here and work out. But don't be scared. Don't be afraid. If that's just as simple as you asking to jump in to work on a bench with somebody and you're too scared, what are you going to do out there?
Right.
That means you're scared to approach a woman, ask her on a date or for a phone number. You're scared to ask somebody for a job. You're scared to do this. It's pathetic. It's sad.
You nailed it. Ask.
Yeah. Ask. Because the worst case you can get is a no.
Right.
It's like in anything. You're still going to be in the same place you are right now.
Right.
You know, nothing is going to change.
Nope. You got to put it out there and just learn.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? That's
it. I get some guys who hit me up on social media. It's like, hey man, I have a question, or I post a short or something. Oh, well, this resonated with me. Like, what should I do? And I love it. Just ask. Like, I'm here. I don't, you know, you hear somebody will ask you. I ask you. You know, it's simple as that.
Yep.
You know,
it's amazing.
Yeah. I want to close off. I mean, we're coming up towards the end of this episode. I want to close off with the question that you already know, right? That I ask all the people that I look up to, that I love and respect, and I think you're a great person to ask with all the wisdom you have.
Thank you.
It's a 2-part question, brother.
Okay.
Number 1, what is the purpose and meaning of life? And 2, how do you find purpose or meaning in life?
Nice, easy questions. Thanks.
You're welcome, bro. Let's crack the code.
Right?
Hit me with that kraken.
So what is the purpose of life?
Purpose or meaning of life, yes.
Meaning of life, purpose of life. For me, my purpose is to help others reframe regret and make sure that they become the best version of themselves. So the purpose of life is to learn the lessons and share the lessons. Don't be a greedy bastard.
Yeah.
Don't just take. Don't hoard. Share. Share your wisdom. Share your knowledge. Share your failures. Share everything so that the rest of the world can grow. Because as we're seeing with the other generations, they're falling on their ass. And they don't know shit about shit. So that's what I think the purpose is that is to learn the lessons that you can and then share it with the world.
Beautiful.
Now, what's the second one?
The second part was, how do you find, let's say as a young man out there, how do you find your purpose in life or your meaning in life?
You got to find things that resonate with you. Whether it's something good that happened to you, something bad that happened to you, a figure, a sports figure, right? Like I want to be the next Tom Brady. I want to be the next whatever. I want to be the next Kobe Bryant. You have to find what that is, and then you have to go for it. You have to have unbridled passion to go after what you want to become, and then do it.
Okay. Go after it.
Just get it. Because you made the point earlier, the guy that was going around the bench and he wouldn't come up and ask to work in or just say, hey man, great set. Can I jump in? Or can I ask you a question? He'll never ask the girl out. He'll never do this. He'll never do that because he never tried. So you have to put it out there and give it, whenever you find what it is that you love, that you resonate with, go for all of it. Ride that wave as long as you can.
I love it.
And then as that wave goes away, you might find another wave and keep growing on that.
And another one.
And another one. Because the days of getting that job and being in that job for 65 years, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's not coming back.
It's outdated.
It's way outdated.
And it doesn't benefit you as a person.
Nope.
It's a slave routine. It's
exactly what it is.
Way of enslaving people.
And I want to learn and grow every day. And I can't if I don't get a chance to put it out there.
Yeah. 1% better every day, brother.
That's it.
I love it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Listen, man. Thank you for coming out. I know it was a drive for you, but thank you for finding time and coming here and just sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, your story is fantastic, and you be able to be here today and share all that with our viewers and listeners. It's fantastic.
I love it, man. I'm excited. I've been following you for a long time, even before we started talking, and your content is unbelievable. You're doing a great service here, and I'm just glad I could be a part of it and maybe help a little bit. So anytime you ever need anything from me, I got you.
Thank you, brother. And I just want to point out to you guys, it's something that this man did when I first met him. When I first met you, you introduced yourself, and I introduced myself, and we kind of talked, and you hit me with, I'm Chris. Let me know what I can do for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this man is truly in the business of serving other people.
Yep.
I will never forget that.
Thank you.
And I actually borrowed that from you, and I practiced the same mentality and attitude. I loved it so much.
Good.
So thank you.
It feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels fucking awesome.
I love it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you guys for listening and watching. And again, if you find this content useful and you learn something, you got any value from it, please click like, share, and subscribe, and share everybody else. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro.